Baseball is back, folks. Waiting to say that for a while. Yo, Pat, first of all, how you feel right now?
I feel cautiously optimistic about baseball being back. After watching the negotiation, what was going on, it was obvious that the owners were stalling to a certain point to where they felt comfortable about everything, about taking a financial loss. And also the fact that COVID is going to spike. Well, it's spiking already in the United States because of them opening the economy back up because capitalism. But them realizing that in the fall it's going to spike even more and kind of not having the season take too much time was kind of smart. But at the same time, there's no real reason for the season only be 60 games. It should honestly be 81 games or 82 games.
Yeah, just so they could not play, just so they could pay the players less money. But anyway, so, I just got so excited. I didn't even do the intro. Welcome to the Pinch Talk podcast, folks. This is episode 9, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, baseball is back, people. Like, we've been waiting so long to say that. I kind of agree with Pat. I'm cautiously optimistic about the whole shit. I think there's a real possibility that maybe cases spike and the season gets canceled, but hopefully that doesn't happen. So for the folks out there who maybe have not kept up as much with the negotiations and everything that's been going on, you think it's fair that we kind of sum up how the negotiations ended? Because I think it is.
Absolutely.
So basically, the MLB sent the players more bullshit offers, and they just said, just basically they told MLB, just set the season, we'll show up. And MLB, after stalling for long enough so they could, pay players less money, they said a 60-game season. This 60-game season is very particular, not just because it's only 60 games, less than half a regular season, but because it has quite a few things that no other season really had. First of all, 40 of the 60 games will be played against division rivals, so that's a huge chunk of games. 2/3 of the games played against teams that know you and that you know. Then you have 20 games against the opposite geographic division. So NL West will play the AL West, NL East play the AL East, and yeah, y'all can see how that goes. Other big things, the universal DH. How you feel about that, by the way?
It's long overdue. It's very long overdue, and honestly, I think it's just sick from this point forward. The logistics of AL teams going to play in NL parks makes it kind of hard because pitchers can injure themselves. Like I know Masahiro Tanaka messed up both his hamstrings trying to hit last year or the year before, something crazy. You remember that?
I don't know, but that's
Yeah,
that's hilarious, man.
And how do you even that's how much pitchers don't hit in the AL. And then from an economic standpoint, bringing the DH to the NL gives veterans and guys that aren't great fielders a chance to make money and get more at bats in the NL, because in the NL, your position players, they have to play in the field, all 8 of them. Yeah. And that's a big deal because, just to give you guys an example, you have Jose Martinez, who was a outfielder first baseman for the Cardinals, and he wasn't really good at either. And this offseason actually, the Cardinals traded him because they didn't have any room for him, because he wasn't going to be able to DH because there was no DH to the Rays, and because the Rays needed a DH.
Yeah, had they had a DH, the Cardinals, they would have kept him 100%.
Yeah, they would have kept 100%. He's a talented hitter. He's a maybe a 280, 360 on-base guy that could give you 20 to 30 home runs, and he's going to drive in the runs. He's your stereotypical fifth hitter, middle of the order guy.
Yeah.
And the only reason and just to show you how important being able to be a competent fielder is in baseball, where a lot of people think that defense isn't as important. The Cardinals traded away a perfectly playable guy if he was a DH. That's how good of a hitter he was. And that's
Yeah.
what a DH should be in the NL, because from an economic standpoint, it's going to allow more veterans to get paid later in their careers when their defensive value slips because they age, they move slower, they're not as sharp, etc., etc.
Absolutely it is. So all I can think with that too is though that Coors Field is going to be crazy. The DH, the juice ball, all that shit's going to be insane. But um, after that, of course, then there's the extra innings, starting with an unearned runner on second base. This has been used in the minor leagues for a while, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't
Couple
think
years.
anyone, yeah, I don't think anyone really likes it, but I feel like people tolerate it because this year you want to reduce workload, etc. That's
Yeah,
that's kind of my stance on it.
it makes sense because of them trying to limit games and kind of not have to throw out your whole pitching staff for a 17 inning game that's going to affect the rest of the season because it's so short. And there's not going to be a lot of off days for you to reset everything. But what I think they should have done was, if you're going to have a runner on second in the extra innings, it should be after a certain amount of innings. So maybe after 12 innings or 13 innings, that would be better for me.
Yeah.
But honestly, I get it, and it's tolerable, and I think it's going to make it exciting because it's going to create like a sudden death thing. And one important factor to me is it's not going to carry over to the playoffs, which I'll take that. That would be I would be furious if it did carry over to the playoffs, but it won't. But it's also going to create more exciting matchups for the super fast guys that get the bat knocked out of their hands every time they hit. They're going to have a job now.
Billy Hamilton now.
Billy Hamilton, man. And Billy Hamilton, Terrence Gore, Greg Allen, Bradley Zimmer, the whole Kansas City Royals lineup, basically. Because that's all they have is fast guys. It's going to be, especially in the NL, when you need your fast guys that can pinch run it and pinch hit. So it's gonna. I think from a strategy standpoint, it's just going to be interesting to see. And another thing that's getting added this year is a 3 batter minimum rule for relief pitchers or pitchers in general.
I kind of like that, honestly.
Honestly, I was kind of against it at first, but it's going to be interesting to see how that works, because how you're going to play the pinch hitting matchup style, because you're going to have so many extra guys on the roster.
Yeah.
How your lefty and righty specialists are going to be deployed and things like that.
It doesn't apply if the pitcher finishes the inning, right?
Right.
So just because of that, I actually support it.
Yeah, because it's gonna, but honestly, I think a lot of teams that have starting pitcher depth are gonna piggyback their starters to start out, agree. Or you have teams that maybe that kind of started giving their guys to go to train early, like the Indians. They were one of the first teams to say, okay, we want you guys to start training now because we think the baseball is going to start on this date. Mm-hmm. That's a big advantage because a lot of their starting pitchers are saying that they can pitch 6 innings
already.
Yeah, a lot of pitchers all over the MLB starting pitchers are saying that they can pitch 6 innings right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works as well.
Yeah. Garrett Cole said he saw no reason that he couldn't go 5+ at least. I think there's going to be kind of a ramp up process for all starting pitchers to some extent, but yeah. Do you think there is going to be a more emphasis or less emphasis on the bullpen this year?
It's going to depend on the organization. Like, I know the Rays are going to be shuffling guys in and out. It's just going to depend on. I think it's going to go team by team, maybe. Or if the team has injuries or people getting sick from COVID, how that works.
I think teams are going to use their strengths as often as they can.
I agree. Like the Indians, they're going to use their starters. They see their starters as workhorses, and then the Rays,
the Nats are going to use their starters.
Yeah.
It's kind of like bizarro world baseball in a lot of ways. Another thing is that the trade deadline is pushed back from July 31st to August 31st. That kind of makes sense. I don't know how much trades we'll see with the whole COVID shit, but I guess we'll kind of just see what happens there. And then there's also a COVID specific disabled list where players can go if they catch it. I don't know what'll happen. Like, say a star player catches COVID, he'll probably be out for a couple weeks.
He's going to be out for half the season easily, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's just, I kind of agree, and that is gonna massively hurt a team's chances because let's just put this in perspective, folks. Right, so 60 games. Say your team starts off the season 2-8, which is perfectly possible if they go cold with the bats in the first 10 games. Now you're on the back foot immediately. Like, just think about that, right?
Yeah. So it's just, let's say Francisco Lindor catches COVID.
Yeah, you're done.
You're done. Unless, and then when it comes to trades, the only players that could be traded are players on the 60-man roster.
Yeah.
And so, as a loophole, you're going to be seeing a lot of players getting traded for players to be named later.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
with players to be named later, you have like 3 months or 6 months or like 90 days, something like that, to figure out who you're going to send back. Mm-hmm. So a lot of teams are going to be using that to kind of finagle trades. And I really don't think there's going to be a lot of blockbuster trades this year, just kind of based on the fact that there's a lack of value with the 60-game season, and there's not going to be a lot of time for them to get acclimated and kind of affect the team long term.
Yeah, I saw a couple comments from some people, some reporters that said basically the team that stays the healthiest is going to be the best, not necessarily the team with the best talent. I think that's
pretty accurate to me. Yeah,
that's 100% correct.
I don't see any bottom of the basement team like the Orioles and Marlins kind of making an impact. They could be like spoilers, but
they will. They will.
But honestly, I think fringe teams that like the White Sox or the
White Sox
or the
Padres,
Angels or the Padres, they have the chance to kind of, even with the glaring holes, they can cover them up because they have young talent that's going to play hard. Yeah, you get hot for 2 weeks, you're pretty much in the playoffs, so you're going to be close. And one thing that's going to be a big factor is the tiebreaker method. How do you work that out? Because that's going to be really hectic if you have some tiebreaker games to play at the end of the season. Because it's going to be so close.
It's going to feel kind of like the NFL season in some ways. Really, very short season. Every game matters a lot. This is not going to be. I kind of feel like the games are going to feel a little bit more hectic when you watch them as a result.
Yeah.
Let's talk about divisions, though, because with this whole, teams play 40 games in their own division, then they play 20 games against the opposite geographic division. Which conference, quote unquote, do you think will send more teams to the playoffs? Because the top heavy ones will send a couple, and then everyone else won't have a shot. I'd say the Central, really.
Yeah, the MLB Central is kind of stacked because you have the Indians, White Sox, Twins, Cubs, Cardinals, Brewers,
Reds,
and the Reds. And those are all pretty talented teams that could win it this year, just kind of based on if they catch momentum at the right time, because they all have legitimate cores, especially the Reds with how they reloaded this summer or this winter. And with the DH being added to the NL, the Reds are in the perfect position, and so are the Cubs.
Yeah, they're one of the teams that benefited the most.
Yeah, and the Reds, honestly, they have the best rotation in the MLB Central, which is saying a lot because you have the Indians in there too.
Agreed.
It's going to be really competitive. It's going to be really close, and then with the NL Central, and the teams could play spoiler, and then in the AL Central, you have the Twins, the White Sox, and the Indians, and there's a universe where the White Sox win the division.
Yeah.
If they can stay healthy and the Twins and the Indians don't. But
say Luis Robert comes up and just destroys the league in the first 30 games.
Yeah.
Then what
happens?
And
he's gonna play just because he signed that contract already, so he's gonna start in center field. And then they have Michael coming back. Let's say they make Michael Kopech their closer. That's 105 with a slider, curveball, and changeup as a closer.
Y'all
Just
beginning
because
to
they
see
want to put
this,
their best
folks.
guys on the field. Let's say they bring up what's his face? The guy they just took.
Andrew Vaughn.
Let's say they bring up Andrew Vaughn to be their DH, or let's say someone Jose Brady gets sick and they bring up Andrew Vaughn.
Y'all kind of seeing that how that plays out, right?
And honestly, I like that factor a lot because honestly, I'm expecting a lot of young guys to get called up maybe.
Oh yeah, because they're not going to opt out.
But honestly, I think that to kind of focus on my team, the Indians, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to, because a lot of the guys they put in their minor squad are young, and I don't think they're going to start their clocks yet, or all of their clocks. But I don't think we won't see Nolan Jones this year. I think his clock is going to start in 2021. But I'm really looking forward to see what Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor can do in a 60-game season that's starting in the summer, where they don't have to deal with the cold.
Yeah, that's a thing. For me, for the Rockies, our problem has always been depth everywhere. Right. So COVID kind of exaggerates that, because let's say Trevor Story goes out for 3 weeks, we are done. We're fucked. As far as prospects go, I'm kind of expecting Ryan Rolison to probably get his first cup of coffee in the majors late in the season. I'm not expecting him to be there opening day at all, but I feel like eventually he will pitch. And yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, the Rockies are a much more irrelevant franchise in terms of being competitive, because they're the Colorado Rockies. That's what they do. So I'm just looking to see young players progress, really. But yeah, if we have any sort of injury, any sort of star player going out, you can write us off, and you can put us in the top 5 for when it comes to the draft.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the draft. I don't even know that's being done. Oh man,
I don't know either. But
I don't even know how the draft order is being composed. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rockies traded Nolan Arenado during the season or right after the season or something like that.
Hey, bro, listen. I think that with this whole COVID shit, I feel like it's less likely that he opts out. You know,
I agree, just because the economics of baseball.
Yeah, like
and
you don't know how the market's going to be.
CBA.
Yeah,
this is just the worst possible timing for this to happen, because this 2020 season was going to be big for baseball.
Yeah,
because these 2020 and 2021 free agent classes are going to be ridiculous from a talent standpoint.
I think they can still salvage something. Baseball can.
I think it's going to be an all-out fist fight.
I agree. I think Major League Baseball is going to do. I think the whole the extra innings starting with an honor runner on second base. I think that's a very clear attempt by MLB to make game quote unquote more exciting and kind of appeal to people, because they know they need to put on a good show, especially after all the terrible PR they got.
I agree. I don't think that's going to stick long term. I doubt it.
Me neither.
MLB isn't going to let that happen. But this is going to be, I think they're going to garner more casual attention from fans just because of the lack of sports. And the fact that a 60-game season is going to be a lot easier to follow.
Yeah.
But one thing baseball needs to do is they need to get rid of the local blackouts.
Oh, hell yeah, they need.
It's ridiculous.
That would be so counterproductive, especially right now.
Very. And honestly, there's going to be so many games in a short amount of time. There's going to be great matchups every day. And then you have more interleague games. So you're going to have a lot of big matchups as well. I feel like we talked about this before, but even with everything going on, this baseball can still capitalize and push and promote and kind of get more eyes looking at the sport.
There should be no reason that there isn't baseball constantly on, basically.
Correct.
Baseball should be a part of everyone's, quote unquote, should be a part of everyone's sports kind of life going forward. Correct. They have that kind of opportunity.
Correct. And
no, go ahead.
I was going to segue to the minor league baseball being canceled.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, the minor league season's been canceled this year at all levels, from rookie ball to AAA.
Tragedy.
Yeah, it really is. And this is also coming on the heels of the MLB getting rid of 40 teams in the minor leagues. And MLB, the minor leagues being shut down this year is going to do nothing but probably add to that, unless the minor leagues is like a stimulus from the or bailout from the United States government, which probably won't happen because capitalism is garbage. So you have a lot of minor league players that aren't getting development time. The MLB teams put their top prospects on their taxi squad rosters all across the league.
Yeah,
and so you have the depth, and your young guys. You have the large majority of baseball's minor league players aren't getting development time, which is negatively impacting the sport, which is really bad. And also sends a message that they aren't as important because they don't have the big money invested in them from when they got drafted or signed internationally.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Plus, if minor league players have to get requests to play indie ball and things like that as well. So right now, it's just kind of a turbulent time for minor league baseball.
Yeah, I think that it's also really bad timing considering all the terrible PR baseball is getting. Baseball is already struggling with the fans. Then you go ahead and you're going to basically sweep 40-ish minor league teams out of existence. That's 40-ish communities that are getting one big source of baseball taken away from them. You know, all the kids that go to minor league games, they grow up around the game, so they grow up fans of the game. Like, it's just a really bad thing to do. I think that MLB has this issue because everything is very clearly a move by the owners to save themselves money. They delayed the season so they could save money. They are trying to get minor league teams out of there just so they can save money. They're really sacrificing the health of the sport as a whole, not just their brands, but the health of the sport, just for the short-sighted gains. I don't even know how to explain that. Like, it feels odd to me that you wouldn't even try to invest in your own product. How you feel about it?
Well, minor league players have always been second-class citizens. They don't even have a union. And if they did try to unionize, I'm sure that the MLB will cut their legs off from a metaphorical standpoint. And it just goes to show how even in professional sports you can be commodified and taken advantage of. And it also shows why most people should be pro player instead of pro owner, because this correlates to how CEOs and owners of companies treat their employees in the real world. Well, not in the real world, but in other facets of economics.
Yeah, people like to lick billionaire boots, though.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's really important to the average American, licking the boots of millionaires and billionaires with unethical amounts of wealth. But enough of the proletariat stuff. Back to baseball. But what the MLB is doing to the minor leagues is keeping baseball from reaching its ceiling. If baseball paid its minor leaguers more money, gave them better facilities, better traveling capabilities, made them more comfortable, have programs for its minor leaguers from other countries that made them feel more comfortable and have to deal with less xenophobia, amongst other things, I'm sure it will help the game be better, and it will put a better product on the field.
Yeah, I think the topic of what I briefly mentioned before of communities losing their minor league teams. I think that's something that you can kind of dive into a lot better than me, obviously. So, am I right in saying that? Because I feel like that's a real big source of fandom for the game.
No,
that's kind of like where a lot of young fans are made.
So, minor league teams are typically around, or they could be across the country from the major league teams. For example, with Cleveland, You have the Mahoney Valley Scarpers, which is in Youngstown, Ohio, or right by Youngstown, Ohio. You have the Lake County Captains, which is in Lake County, which is next to Cuyahoga County where Cleveland is. So it's about 30 minutes away from Cleveland. Mahoney Valley is about an hour and a half away from Cleveland. You have the Akron Rubber Ducks, which is about an hour away from Cleveland. You have the Columbus Clippers, which is about 3 hours away from Cleveland. The only minor league team with the Cleveland Indians is out of state is the Lynchburg Hellcats, which is in Virginia. Now, for the Los Angeles Dodgers, they have a couple minor league teams in California, but they also have teams out in the west, in the middle of nowhere too, that provide not only baseball fans but large economies for these cities, a large source of income for these cities, for the community to have jobs to make money. And mind you, baseball isn't year round. It's seasonal. It's from March to maybe September for minor leagues, because the minor league seasons are shorter. So after that, they have to go to other jobs, things like that. So that's a big part of the economy for these small cities.
Mm-hmm.
Like how baseball owners have been crying poor because they're not going to have fans in the seats at stadiums this year, or they're going to try to anyways, I bet, because they don't care.
Well, they're going to try.
The minor league teams are really poor because they have nobody playing baseball for them right now.
Yeah, and no fans.
No fans.
So they're just cutting their own legs off, really. I don't get it.
And not only that, but you have how minor league teams get sponsorships from local entities and local companies. That helps the local businesses as well. So it's a mutual benefit.
Basically, a minor league team gets integrated into the community and becomes a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it creates fans, because you have guys from upstate New York that are fans of the Buffalo AAA team that was the Indians when they played there. And now the Buffalo AAA team is of the Blue Jays. So you have guys that are nowhere near Toronto or Cleveland becoming Indians fans and Blue Jays fans.
Yeah. I'm kind of struggling for words here, because it just makes no sense that they would treat kind of the launching pad for a lot of their product. It makes no sense that MLB owners would be so short-sighted. Well, I mean, it does, but money. But I just don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
It's pathetic.
That's kind of the only word I can.
That's the only way to put it. Honestly, it's pathetic. Sports and professional sports in general are kind of broken, just from overall process and how everything works. There's so many things wrong with everything that professional sports is that need to be corrected, but aren't, because people only look at the product on the field. They don't look at the underlying things that makes the main thing happen, and how it works. But yeah, and that's another thing we want to segue to. Baseball is stopping itself from reaching its ceiling in a multitude of ways, and a big way it's doing that is racism. Just to kind of put it out there for you, as simple as it should be put out there.
Yeah.
Throughout the history of baseball, it has minimized the visibility of its black players, and not just African American players, because African American players usually have the most visibility out of its black players. But it's Afro-Latino players, it's Afro-Caribbean players have a long history of baseball that's just as long as it is with African Americans, and you see nothing for them to be celebrated. Like when the Black History Month happened and baseball was promoting its African American players, you saw nothing about Afro-Latino players. Nothing.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous, because you have guys like Roberto Clemente, Louis Tiant, amongst others, who have been involved with this game, who played this game alongside Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and all of them, and Bob Gibson. It's just ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, I think that one way we can talk about that is in talking about a little statement that a player that I feel like I've mentioned on the podcast before in really a non-pleasant way. The man's name is Ian Desmond. He's a Colorado Rocky. He has an awful contract, but that's not really the point because he was one of what I have here 7 players so far that have opted out of the season due to COVID concerns. But he also sent out a statement behind the reasoning, behind the reasoning behind his opt out. And, he cited his family and all that. You have a kind of a summary of it.
Mhm. So, Ian Desmond summarized how he feels about everything going on right now with the turbulent situation going on in the United States from a racial standpoint. And not only did he reflect what's going on in his life, but he reflected what's going on in other people's lives. And he realized he reflected his situation growing up and how he is going back to the same place where he had these things happen to him in order to give other people that were in his, younger people that were in his position when he was a kid more opportunities. And honestly, for me, Black baseball players all over have been stepping up lately, whether they be retired ones or ones that are in the league currently right now, or veterans, respected veterans, or guys that just got called up a couple years ago that are barely established. They've been stepping up and speaking out. Because in baseball, it's rare for this to happen in general.
Oh yeah, for someone to challenge that white fabricated play the game the right way, that kind of that culture. Yeah.
And honestly, this is big because in baseball, you don't want to alienate yourself from your clubhouse. And CC Sabathia said this best. He had in his last year in the league in 2019, there was an incident in the clubhouse, and CC Sabathia is a leader of that clubhouse. He's a leader in baseball in general. But he said, we're not talking about this anymore because CC Sabathia will put hands on somebody. He probably would if he could. Honestly, yeah. You could attest to that. He's real enough. He would do that. He would put hands on somebody in a Yankee clubhouse and throw it all away. Yeah. But historically, Black baseball players have dealt with there's a lot of systematic racism embedded in baseball from the little leagues and from the amateur ranks all the way up to the major league level. Just based on the social norms of the sport with the hair and the chains and how you conduct yourself on the field and how you express yourself on the field and being flashy and exciting, and how Indigo League style of play basically, and how it contrasts with the white majority style of play where it's about being humble and quiet and be seen, not heard, robotic and unemotional and numb and dry.
Yeah, but these are the same people that love to tell the story about how Babe Ruth called a shot though.
Yeah, it's contradictory in itself.
Full
If you got the example, last year Ronald Acuna Jr., probably the best Afro-Latino player in the game right now, or one of, if not, one of the best Black athletes in the world. We're just wearing his chains on the field. He has the hoop earrings, all that stuff too. He has dreads, and his locks are amazing, bro. That man is full of swag. He's gonna have a 66 season in 60 games.
Yeah, Manny Ramirez shit.
Yeah, Manny Ramirez. So locks down to his back with the big heavy chains on, like Cuban links. Look like a Wu-Tang Clan member.
Yeah, he on fire with that shit.
Yeah. Last year, announcer for the Pittsburgh Pirates said he didn't like the chains and how he looked.
Oh yeah.
How he contrasted the norm of baseball when Black players have been wearing chains in baseball forever, and it's becoming a part of the culture now. You even see the white dudes doing it now.
Yeah, everything is about this whole not be. Sorry to cut you off. Just for like
go ahead.
Everything is about this whole don't be bigger than the team bullshit, right?
All right.
That's it. Like, it's just that whole thing. That's why the Yankees and the Red Sox. That's why I don't like that practice of not putting players' names behind the jersey. that Yankees practice that everyone has to be clean shaven. I don't like that shit. Like, you're taking away from these players' personalities.
I agree.
That's all I wanted to say.
I agree. And another thing with baseball is the fact that another big factor is the racism that Afro-Latino players go through. And to give you guys an example, Haitian baseball players have to forge documents in order to come to the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
So in Haiti, there are about maybe 400,000. I mean, Dominican Republic, there are about 400,000 Haitians. And baseball isn't big in Haiti, but it's in DR. And therefore, you have a lot of Haitian baseball players in the DR that play baseball. And a lot of them have to lie and forge documents in order to get recruited by amateur teams that have connections to the major leagues in order to even sign these contracts.
Yep.
Sometimes they're pennies on the dollar based on their talent. And that's
they
another
lie
thing.
about their age.
They lie about their age. They change their names. They lie about their nationality. And one thing, too, you don't see a lot of Afro-Latino players speak out on these things because they even have a shorter leash than the African American players because they have visas. They don't have they have family over here that could get shipped back for anything.
Yeah,
it's a very fragile situation. So when you have guys like Yasiel Puig, who's a main example of the outspoken way he plays and emotions and the chains and all that stuff, and how he kind of rubs the average baseball fan the wrong way just because he's different. Speak out on these things because he was one of the first baseball players to speak out about the Black Lives Matter and all the protests, things like that, and how as a Black Cuban, what he faced in Cuba, he faces here in the United States. When you have a polarizing star like him speaking out and setting an example, it's a shift. It's time for things to change. Yeah, you got to fix these things. When you have guys like Francisco Lindor and Jose Ramirez, two Afro-Latino stars speaking out, Tuki Toussaint, one of the only Haitian pitchers, the only Haitian players in general in the MLB right now that even claim to be Haitian because he's in forged documents, things like that. I mean, he's also the only Kenyan player in baseball. I think he's the only African player in baseball too. I may be wrong. Because he's Kenyan as well as Haitian. When you have guys like, who else has said something? Delino D. Shields.
Yeah.
It's just crazy right now. And honestly, there needs to be a shift with how Black players from all over the diaspora are treated within the game of baseball, whether it be at the lower levels of the game, the amateur ranks, or in the professional league.
Yeah. I think that is always funny because you go and look at the all-time great players list. Who do you see?
Black players.
Bonds, Mays. Like, come on, dude.
Hank Aaron, Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
Pedro Martinez.
Oh yeah. Like, it's just pretty ridiculous that the sport itself treats Afro-Latino and American players that way when they're not only such a big part of the sport right now, but they've always been, and they contribute so much to the sport's popularity. Let's be real right now, bruh. I mean, I'm generalizing, of course, but I'm doing it because it makes sense. White players are just way more boring in general because they're always raised with this robotic, this lame ass fucking way of playing. You know what I mean? That's how that's how you get someone like Mike Trout.
Yeah, he has a personality of a fax machine.
Yeah, I saw someone said that. I was crying with that when he said that.
Yeah, that was just you put it so perfectly. But yeah, I mean, baseball is the only sport to have its own all-black league. Yeah, the Negro League is not talked about enough when it comes to black sports and black sports history. With how it wasn't just African American players, you had your Afro-Latino players there too.
And they were amazing.
They're amazing, and it's just how is this not talked about enough, even amongst the black people in the South? It's just that's all black sports league, and it existed alongside the MLB for 40 years. And you talking about back in the early 1900s, you had white people and black people sitting together to watch the games because they were that good. and they were traveling all over the country playing against major league players who said they were as good as them, and MLB owners and general managers were doing under-table deals with Negro League players, black players, to show white players how to do certain things on the field.
Yeah, I feel like everything got kind of overshadowed by integrating into MLB.
Yeah, it's
that whole thing.
It's completely overshadowed, and it's not talked about enough. Where are the documentaries? Where are the interviews? Where are the books? I mean, they're out there, but why are they not being pushed? Why are we not celebrating these people and these amazing feats?
I mean, you know why.
Yeah, we all know why, but I mean, you've read the stories about how with the nicknames that these guys get and the stuff that they do. It's like mythology almost. Like Josh Gibson, a catcher, hitting 700 home runs, 800 home runs. Like, it's crazy. And you got Satchel Paige, who's the greatest pitcher ever, who won over 500 games or something like that, who pitched all over the world. And then you got to think about it too. These black players are going to the Dominican Republic and Venezuela and things like that to play back in the day. They played baseball year round. Like, they didn't stop.
Yeah.
It's not like how it is now where they have off season from October to February. No, they were playing baseball year round. That's what they did for a living.
It all kind of goes back to the same fabric. How baseball is... I don't even know if baseball, but yeah, baseball is kind of this white culture. I mean, anything that has a white culture by default is going to be dismissive of everything someone else has accomplished, because that's just the white people complex, like that's just how shit goes. But yeah, like it's just this whole white culture dismissing everything and then just imposing this sort of way of playing, this way of promoting the game itself onto other people, and it's hurting the sport. It's always hurt the sport, and I don't know if it will ever truly change, because we got to remember who's in charge. Who's in charge actually.
Mm-hmm. The owners.
Yeah, and I mean they're not interested in that, but I don't know, man. Like the real ones know, like what the deal is.
Right.
Anyone who bothers to look it up, they know what the deal is.
Right.
So this is just for y'all to know. Look up the history of black players throughout baseball. Look, and just not only history, but look at what they do now for the sport.
Yeah.
Like start to understand how much they contribute to the type of baseball that you want to see.
Correct.
Because let's be real right now. Mike Trout, and I love him, he's the best player in baseball by a mile. I saw someone say that he's also the worst best player a sport could ever have. I agree.
No personality, no charisma.
Yeah.
And not to say that's a mark on him, because
it's not. It's
not.
Just
not. If he wants to play baseball and go home to his family, more power to him. Honestly, we need more. We need more professional athletes like that who want to be normal guys when they step outside, when they take a uniform off. Because honestly, some of these players, they let it get to their head and they start doing all sorts of crazy stuff. But
yeah, it's what you do on the field.
Yeah,
promote the game while you play. Yeah,
correct. Another facet of baseball that's affected by racism hugely is press coverage.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different. Like, that's a rabbit hole in itself.
Yeah, it is, and how players back in the day were given awards and things like that, and how they're reviewed, and how the press write about these players, black players in general. For example, Barry Bonds during time in Pittsburgh, and even with the San Francisco Giants, he got destroyed.
He got shit on constantly.
He was the amount of disrespect that he got just for existing as a black, just for being. He was so good that they crapped on him. That's how good he was.
Just because he didn't kiss the media's ass.
Yeah, just because he didn't want to kiss their feet.
Yeah.
And that easily made him resentful, which led to him wanting to do steroids. But another factor is that it's led to him being blackballed from the game right now.
Yeah, because he when when he got blackballed, his on base percentage was like 480, something like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's crazy how the narratives that are created about even the black and even Afro Latino players, so the ones that can't speak English, how we don't promote them because of the xenophobia and things like that that Americans have.
All the shit Gary Sanchez gets because he doesn't
Yes.
speak English.
Yeah, I mean, he
All this
speaks
shit.
English, but he's not amazing. Like, even it affects the perception of these players. Like, even with Jose Ramirez, like, let's break down that Jose Ramirez has been just as good as Francisco Lindor their whole baseball careers,
Oh yeah,
easily, without a doubt. And he made it to the majors 2 years before Frankie did. And the amount of chances he got to develop at the major level shows how much the Indians believed in him. And for him not to have the visibility that Frankie has, maybe out even inside Cleveland, he doesn't. He's still underrated because he doesn't speak English. And we need to do more with bringing the Spanish, that Latino aspect to the game, to where it's okay for these guys to be themselves, to be the Latino people that they are, because
yeah.
Latino culture is a huge part of the game as well, and it should be more.
And
It should be
bring a lot to
present
the
more at the
clubhouse.
MLB level.
I've always heard of Latino players constantly being referenced as the kind of locker room glue guys, the guys that make the shit fun.
Yeah, they make it.
Just
They
throwing
make
that out there.
they make a 162 game that's grueling more fun. They're expressive. They're exciting. Latino
Yeah.
people are very upbeat and happy. They're very vibrant people. And when you have the amount of Dominican players in the game, and Venezuelans and Cubans and Puerto Ricans, they should have more visibility for sure.
Yeah, I think that just there needs to be some change, kind of from up down. I think that one thing that can contribute to change a lot is changing some of, first of all, the umpires and also the broadcast teams, because all the shit I heard Ronald Acuna get. Remember last year in the postseason
Yeah.
when he didn't supposedly run?
Well, that was in the regular season, but yeah, he didn't run out some ball and he got benched, and like for the rest of the season, he was getting destroyed by the press.
No, but that happened in the postseason too, because he quote unquote didn't run it, and then he got caught. He got caught between someone hitting a line drive right to the shortstop, who was like right next to the second base bag, and he was out. Like, that's just something that happens to everyone, and he got shit on for that. It's like, dude, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I remember now. And people forget that Ronald Acuna Jr. is only 21 years old when he's in the majors. Like, he's still learning the game.
Yeah.
And one big thing too that people don't talk about enough is Afro-Caribbean players. There's one guy I want to talk about right quick is Ozzy Albies, and honestly, he's like Joe Morgan-esque at the plate and on defense. He's easily a top 3 second baseman in baseball, and
Oh yeah.
the amount of players that have come out of Curacao, which is a small affluent the country that formerly belonged to the Netherlands but is now independent. They've produced a lot of baseball players recently and over the history of the game. You have Andrew Jones. You have D.G. Gregorius, Andrelton Simmons, Ozzy Albies, Kenley Jensen, and even the ABC Islands in general. Your players from Aruba too. You have Xander Bogaerts amongst a couple others as well. They don't have a lot of visibility because they're a small island in the Caribbean. But you also have every guys from the Bahamas like Jazz Chisholm and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's just what we're trying to say is that we need to get black players from all over the diaspora their flowers in the game of baseball. We need more black players in the press. We need more black announcers. We need more black coaches, black managers, black people in the front offices, and even Latinos in the front. And we say it about Latinos as well. We need more of them, even though there have been a lot more Latino managers lately and coaches.
And baseball will benefit from this, because if you want, here's the most exciting brand of baseball, in my personal opinion, is the World Baseball Classic.
Yes.
And anyone who has ever watched that they'll tell. I've heard some stories from some people that were there live at games, and they said the atmosphere is unlike anything they've ever seen.
It's like the World Cup, FIFA World Cup.
Yeah,
It's
and yeah, go ahead.
it's just the intensity is just so natural and it's beautiful because you have all these guys are expressing their culture,
Yeah.
and then you got the flipping the bats and pumping the fists after making crazy plays in the outfield. And honestly, one thing people should look into more is watching Winter League baseball, like Venezuelan Winter League and Dominican Winter League. Because if you ever see them hit a home run, every home run is celebrated like it's a walk-off home run. And it's just amazing. If that happened in baseball more, it would be. I'm not saying that level of exaggeration, but just more intensity and happiness in the game and expression will be better.
Yeah.
When you have guys getting struck out, and you have even in the South Korean league when they get home runs and striking people out and stuff, this is amount of swagger and enjoyment they show.
Oh, they go
Makes
crazy.
the game much more interesting. It makes those moments just that much better.
Yeah, you get those kind of pictures that kind of last for years.
Yes,
Like the Jose Bautista home run.
the bat flip.
Yeah, that picture will live on forever in baseball.
Yeah, and they could complain about it. Oh, he was unprofessional, or the Tim Anderson bat flip when he flung it like a javelin when he was trying to go for gold at the Olympics. Did you hear how much they trashed him on MLB Network, things like that? I don't want my kids to play the game like this. Nobody's kids should be like Tim Anderson when he grows up. And Tim Anderson, shout out to Tim Anderson, by the way, because he's been putting on since he got to the majors. And he has an uncommon path that's becoming more common for black players. Because Tim Anderson did not start playing baseball until his junior year of high school. And he made it to the majors in 5 years.
Think about the talent level that takes, people.
Yeah. And give another example, Kenny Lofton didn't start playing baseball until he was junior at college.
And he should have gotten consideration for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he should be in the Hall of Fame. And honestly, he will be, but he should be voted in like on the third or fourth ballot because he was one of the best center fielders and one of the best areas outfielders ever. It's just so much ground to cover, honestly, with baseball and how black people are viewed within the game from all aspects. And one thing I can say for sure is the Ivy League culture is negatively harming the game from that standpoint because players are being commodified more. It's more of a business standpoint, and we know with Ivy League is white adjacent, so that means black players and Latino players aren't getting anything out of it, and even how players are recruited, how you take advantage of these young guys from Central and South America and the Caribbean, and you give them pennies on the dollar, and they have to toil in the minor leagues for years.
Or how they're scouted, even.
Yeah, even how they're scouted.
It's just this whole kind of system from top down that's just built in such a way that is gonna kind of step on a black player's neck, really.
Correct.
For really anything, for any wrongdoing, kind of at any point. And
Albert Bell. Really, well, Albert Bell was a nutcase, but still, he shouldn't have got destroyed like he did.
Yeah, but it's just the whole foundation needs to be changed. I mean, we do everything we can on our end to make sure people see what baseball can be, right? Make sure not only what it is now, because that's not something that we should negate. We should not pretend that baseball is this just perfect world where just everything is sunshines and shit. It's not. But we do need to kind of make sure people understand what baseball can be if people work and the people kind of start understanding what sport can, what sports can do for people.
Correct.
You know? Like it can be. I mean, we know what it can do for someone or for a family economically, financially. It can help them massively, but just as a whole for a community to kind of, I guess, make people feel part of something. People always want to do that, and sports are a way to help with that. And baseball has this kind of baseball, just as a sport, just the way it's played, it kind of lends itself towards that. Like if you like, say you come across with someone who is a baseball fan, like there's a good chance that you might very soon, start having some kind of, conversations with that person, like me and you, right? Because it's a shared interest, but it's also the type of interest that it's very easy to talk about. It's very easy to be really invested in, right? I don't know if I'm kind of talking too long, but it's just kind of like, just kind of the
no, keep going. You're fine.
But it's just that whole sense of community that baseball by itself creates. Also because it's a sport that's played at a more relaxed pace. I personally find that to be more enjoyable. The fact that every ballpark is different, that kind of adds to the charm. Just everything about the sport could be such a beautiful thing for people to be a part of. But it's just being dragged down by corporate bullshit, racist bullshit, and all kinds of other bullshit from the top down. And we do our best, and we're doing, and we will do our best to change that. But we need y'all, and we need people to start actually looking themselves in the mirror and actually trying to see what the hell they're doing and how they're promoting what they're doing.
I agree. I think we really covered everything.
I think we did.
Yeah, this kind of was we had a lot of stuff to cover because we haven't done a podcast in a while. Just because we had a lot going on, but it's
we should settle into a weekly schedule,
weekly pace or rhythm. Yeah. So we're gonna be doing our draft recap and kind of breaking down the taxi squads and what minor leaguers we're looking for, just getting called up to getting selected for a 60-man roster spot. Who we're looking forward to seeing, not just on our teams but across the league.
Yeah.
That should be next week. We're gonna be writing more. We're gonna be posting snippets on Twitter.
Yeah. One thing. This episode is being recorded on a Sunday. It will be up on a Monday, and on that same day, look out for the for our power rankings that we will drop every Monday, starting tomorrow when we're recording right now. So look out for that. I just want to say that.
Cool.
And I think that's kind of everything. You got something else? Because I don't. I think
that's it.
Okay, so that was it. That was the Pinch Talk podcast. I was Mario. My man Pat was here with me. We hope y'all enjoyed listening. We hope y'all think about what y'all heard today. Make sure you do everything you can to change it, to let people know, and not just let people know, but actually do shit, because symbolism is one thing, but actually doing things leads to bigger things being done. So yeah, on my end, that's everything. If you want to say, kind of like final message of sorts, you can go ahead. But
hope everybody stays safe and healthy with everything going on right now. And this was the Pinch Talk podcast. I'm Mario and Pat. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you a lot, and we'll see you next week.
That's it. Peace.